We're speaking with Mark Lashier, and he is the CEO of Phillips 66. Mark, first of all, welcome home.
Thanks, Tom. It's great to be in Bartlesville.
You know, you were reminiscing about your kids going to school here and meeting up with some of the other folks that you ran into. Had to be a good time.
It was a great time, to see faces I haven't seen in 20 years. I left Bartlesville and moved directly to Singapore just before CPChem was formed. And CPChem was formed, and so my world kind of moved a whole different direction. So trips back to Bartlesville were few and far between in that intervening period.
You've seen a lot of the world. I'm going to ask you something that Julie Daniels, our senator, asked during the forum a little bit earlier. How are you reacting to the government's somewhat shift in energy policy, and how are you engaging with the federal government, and how's that working?
Well, the biggest challenge that I think the energy industry faces is just the lack of predictability in what needs to happen there and the absence of a really coherent energy policy. It's hard to go out and make investments that'll have to pay out over decades when you don't really have a firm idea of what the market will be decades from now. And if there are going to be mandates that undermine the demand for your products, it's hard to make those decisions. So there's been a severe underinvestment in the industry that's causing some of the shortages we're seeing today. And yet we're encouraged, on the front end to go build more refining capacity, but we don't have any assurance that that capacity will be needed well into the future. And we need to see line of sight on that before we can commit to these 30-year investments.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question about your old home out there at the research facility. A lot of good things going on. And how are we looking, not only employment wise, but just research wise? It seems like the door is just wide open and the horizon is endless.
Well, a lot of work is being done at the research center around what else can we do with our assets that lowers our carbon footprint so we can be around for a much longer time. They are busy testing all the potential renewable feedstocks that we may be putting into the San Francisco refinery that we're converting to renewable diesel. And when you start thinking about collecting used cooking oil, there can be lots of stuff in that used cooking oil that you don't want to put into your system, and they're helping us understand the characteristics and how to manage that. And they're also looking at things more over the horizon about technologies that we can use to produce the batteries of the future that can help conserve energy, or the solid oxide fuel cells that we're working on that can take hydrocarbons and more efficiently use them to produce safe, reliable electrical power that needs to be in a very safe, reliable, and perhaps even remote location.
Very good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom.